So I started reading this book and I thought, hang on, what is going on here? This is not the typical Colleen Hoover book.
Throw paint or just strip it down. Cold bullshit, I'm blending in. Five muses and don't compare. A true life will fill your cup. Follow what lights you up. More of what makes you smile. Life is both beauty and pain. Pour the wine and live it up. Fresh air while the paint is wet. Half plans are sketching out. There's new life inside of me. I'm stretching past old limits. Follow what lights you up. More of what makes you smile. Life is both beauty and pain. Pour the wine and live it up.
Good morning, welcome back. Welcome back if you're new. I thought I would maybe do a book review. So this past 6 months I have read quite some books, quite a lot of books, and I just want to give an overview of what I've read and what I thought of the books. I am always so interested in what other people are reading. To be honest, I'm sometimes a bit skeptic to just try a new random book. So I do take recommendations from people online. So I think some of these books would be definitely familiar to you, or you would have also read some of these books. It is not in a particular order. I just thought I will do it randomly as how I have read it from the beginning of this year. So I just have my phone here with me for just for some notes. So I obviously started off with reading like hard copy books, but for Christmas I told my husband I would really like a Kindle. I've never used a Kindle before. I just thought, I've read quite some reviews. I thought maybe it's a good shot because I sometimes really like thick books and it is very uncomfortable to take it with you wherever you go. I quite like it to take my book with me to a coffee shop or with traveling or on an airplane or whatever. I just really like how thin and light the Kindle is. I will put up on the screen which Kindle I have. I know there's quite a lot of different type of Kindles, but I really like mine. The battery life is great on the Kindles. So I don't know, I don't really think I would go back to a hardcover book or a hard printed book just because it is so much easier. And what I like is the fact that you can change up the font. And if you live in South Africa you would know, but if you're overseas, in South Africa we have quite an electricity problem. So for the past, I don't know, year, 2 years, every day we have a thing called load shedding. We have like a load shedding schedule. So the electricity goes off every day for a certain couple of hours. At certain times every day it's basically a different time. But what really helps is at night when the electricity is off, I can still read my Kindle. There's no need to put up a light or a candle or such. So it really works well, especially if you are in South Africa. And it is a fun thing to do if you can't watch TV or do anything else. So yeah, I'm still a fan of going into a bookstore. It's just, there's something magical about going into a bookstore and actually picking up a book and see how it looks, and it is amazing. Okay, so let's start off with the first book. Actually, a funny story. I bought this book like, I can't remember, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Someone recommended it online. It's called Where the Crawdads Sing, and I don't know, I just basically ignored the book. I started reading it and I could see it is a bit of a specific type of reading style and a specific type of language that is used, and so I just basically ignored the book. And at some stage my father was looking to read something, so I gave him the book and he just told me this is not working for him anyway. And I can't remember, it was a few months ago, I gave the book to my mother. She started reading it and she told me, yeah, Chanel, you know, this is really a good book. She's really enjoying it. So I saw there's a movie coming out Where the Crawdads Sing. I thought, well, you know, I've never done it before, but I want to first read the book before watching the movie. And as well, in the second time I started reading this book, I just thought, this is not really for me, but I stick to it and I started reading further, and I actually loved this book. And I hate to say it, but I think it is one of the best books I've ever read. It is written by Delia Owens. So interestingly enough, when I finished the book, I just thought to myself, you know, this writer described the scenery so well. It was so specifically written. Now, usually I am not a fan of a book that goes into too much detail about the scenery, you know, the nitty-gritty things, and this writer did. But I'm not a very imaginary person. I'm not very good in imagining things. So I think that is also a reason I don't really read sci-fi books, or there's a specific word for some type of fictional books that is also quite popular these days. I'm not very good at imagining things, so I'm not a fan of those books. But this writer really described the scenery so good, you could see everything before you. So I thought to myself, I don't know how they are going to make this film, but I hope they do get the scenery right. And to be honest, they really did. So there's a bit of a difference between the movie and the book. It is quite, I would say it is 90% the same, but what they have done is, this woman, they thought that she had murdered a man. So in the book, it is where she grown up and went through her life and what happened, so that people would believe that she have murdered this man. And in the movie, it started off where she's in prison, and through the court case there would be flashbacks of how this story evolved, basically. So that is basically the only difference. And the book focused a lot on her childhood, which the movie did not, and I can understand that, because I mean, if you would really put in all the facts of the book, the movie would be just too long. And another thing is, I have heard the song Caroline from Taylor Swift before the movie, and I thought it was nice, and you know, it's a nice song. But after I read the book, the moment I've closed that book, or basically removed it from my Kindle, I grabbed my AirPods and I just listened to the song again, and it was so amazing how well written, how Taylor Swift have written that song, and how it is so spot on written. I don't know if that is the correct vocabulary. So this story started off very sad, and you really felt sorry for her, and how you really thought at the beginning of this book, there can't be a good ending for this woman, for this girl, and it was just so lovely. I must say the ending ending was shocking. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, so the next book I want to give you a review about is, I actually have the hard copy of it, but I did rather read it on my Kindle. I bought the book before I got my Kindle. The book is called When Breath Becomes Air. So if you have watched one of my previous videos about my health and fitness journey, you would know that my father died of cancer about 2 years ago. And I knew that this book is about a doctor that became ill and he got cancer. And it is about his story and how he fought this cancer and eventually died. So I realized I need to be really up for it to read this book and emotionally on an okay mindset to really read this. And I knew it's going to be a tough read, but I must say this book was amazing. It is a complete true story. Just to give you an overview, this book is about neurosurgeon named Paul, who was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. One day he was a doctor treating the dying, and the next he was a patient struggling to live. This book is about the struggles this man faced and what went through his mind. Unfortunately, at the end, Paul dies and his wife have written a beautiful ending, and it really helped me to understand what my father went through emotionally, because he knew he was going to die. Not everyone who dies knows that they are going to die, and I had quite some questions which I was not very comfortable to ask my dad about, because it was uncomfortable questions. For instance, I really thought they told my dad, you know, you have, I can't remember, basically 4 or 5 weeks after they told him he was terminal, he died. And I really thought they told him, you have 5 weeks. And I thought he never told us because he didn't want to upset us. But this book revealed that a doctor are basically not allowed to tell you that. So that gave me peace. And it gave me peace that he also did not know. Because I think it is horrifying to count the weeks down. You know, Paul tries to figure out what makes a meaningful life whilst confronting his own mortality. If you know someone who has died from cancer and you would like a better understanding of what the person went through, I would definitely recommend this book. For me, this book was definitely a 5 out of 5. Then my third book is a romance story. It's called Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. This was I don't know how to describe this. You know, when you read a romance novel, you really hope to connect with the characters and connect with what they are feeling and why they are feeling the way they feel. But this main male character was a true asshole. Sorry for my French. He was really an asshole. And throughout the book, I really hoped that this character would maybe change at the ending, and she still fell in love with him. It is not as if this man was abusive or anything. It's just he had a terrible personality. So I don't know, it is just not the type of guy I would fall in love with. I know there is women out there that would fall in love with this man. He's very masculine. She really focuses on his masculinity and how he owns a bar, and you know, she really focuses on the masculinity. And there's a reason why he is the way he is, but for me personally, that is not like the greatest reason for him to be like he is. I don't think it is enough reason for him to be like he is. Like I said, it is not as if books should be the learning basis of the type of man you should fall in love with. I know, for example, Colleen Hoover, It Ends With Us, everybody romanticizes Atlas, and it is very great and so, but that is really fictional for a man. If there is a man out there that could be like that, I mean, great for you if you can find him, but that is very romanticized. So this is really on the other spectrum of like a character like Atlas Corrigan. So I really did not enjoy this book. I would give it a 2 out of 5. I mean, it was not that terrible. It was a very long book, and throughout the book I really hope that this man would maybe, I don't know, maybe it was not that bad, but I really did not enjoy it. Okay, so for my book number 5, I've got The Love Hypothesis. This was a weird book for me to read. I think maybe it's just me, maybe I'm a bit conservative. I would not say I'm conservative. It's basically about this student at university who falls in love with a lecturer. And that was just a bit creepy to me. You know, I'm a alumni university student. I've got my bookworm law degree, and that was just creepy to me. You know, usually, not always, but the majority of the time, your lecturer is like far older than you. And also, this man, even though I don't know how old he was or how much older he was than the girl, but he also had a bit of a shitty personality, just like the previous book. And she still falls in love with him, and it was a bit like weird how they had to keep their basically love affair. It was not an affair, it was not in a marriage or something, but the relationship undercover. And that was a bit, I don't know, it was very unrealistic. For me, as someone who went to university, that just felt very unrealistic. I know it can happen, but I could not really relate to the book. And also, other thing is, the book focused so much on the characters and what was happening now and here and now, that you have no idea about her background or her parents or where she came from or why she's studying what she's studying. That was just, I just feel like there's so much grey area. Okay, then my book number 6 is a psychology book. I also have the hardcover here. I don't know if you can see, it is basically the third one from the left. And it's called Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? It is written by Dr. Julie Smith. So I found Dr. Julie on Instagram, and she's a psychologist. She makes reels on basically giving advice to handle certain situations and emotions. And I really thought it was good reels, and she made good points. So I thought, okay, but as you know, a reel is a very short video, and I thought maybe if I buy the book, she would maybe give more insight to what she was saying on her reels. And maybe this is a bit unfair for me to say, but basically what she said in the reel is what is in the book. And that is it. There's no really further insight. And to be fair, I've written quite some psychology books, written by Simon Sinek, Malcolm Gladwell, James Clear. Okay, well, James Clear, it's also a psychology book. And Angela Duckworth, the book about grit, and Robert Greene. So to be fair, I have read quite great psychology books. So maybe the scale that I am leaning towards is that maybe the books I've read was just so on such another level that it's not maybe fair to say that. But to also just include, she have a chapter on grief, and to be honest, it felt like giving a lollipop to a grown-up man who have just crashed his car. It was not really helpful. It is a bit of just for me personally, it was a bit sugarcoating a serious situation. Okay, just to be transparent, I have not read the whole book. I just realized, even though I've paid quite some money for that book, I'm just wasting my time. But still, I think I have read at least 50% of the book, and I would definitely rate it a 1 out of 5. I really think there is better psychology books out there. Her reels and her Instagram page is great. I think it is very insightful, but don't waste your money on a book. So book number 7 is The Song of Achilles. I've read the hardcover. As I've told you, I'm not very good with my imaginary world, if I could say it like that. This book focuses on the Greek mythology, and I know this book have gone viral. So I thought, well, let's try it. But I think this is not a bad book. It was just not for me, if you know what I'm saying. I just personally did not enjoy them. I think it is still beautifully written, and I think there's so much deeper meaning in the book, but it was quite slow paced. I didn't know where the book really was going. For example, before this book, I really thought if I enjoy this book, I would maybe read a book like The Court of Thorns and Roses. But now I'm very skeptical. So if you maybe have recommendations of maybe a book like The Song of Achilles or The Court of Thorns and Roses that is a bit better, I don't know how to say it, digestible, please let me know in the comments. I would really like to get into it because I know there's so much variety of books out there, but I'm really struggling to find something that I would enjoy. Yeah, so to be honest, I don't think it would be fair for me to give this book a rating, because I really believe it is well written, and I think there is a reason why this book went viral. So I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. Then book number 8 is Verity by Colleen Hoover. Okay, so I am the type of person who just jumps into a book. When I see it goes viral, I get the book and I start reading. I did not read the summary of this book beforehand, okay? So I am used to the romance books of Colleen Hoover. You know, it ends with us, it starts with us, November 9, and so on. So I started reading this book and I thought, hang on, what is going on here? This is not the typical Colleen Hoover book. And then I realized, okay, just read the summary, because this is more than a romance book, this is a thriller. Okay, but anyhow, so at first I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. So yeah, at first I did not like this book because I was under the impression it's going to be a love story or just like a basic romance novel. So that was in my mind, but luckily I just figured out, you know, this is a thriller book, and I've started reading it with a complete new mindset, and then I started really liking it. So basically midway through this book, I could not put the book down. There were so many questions that had to be answered, and she kept you sitting at the end of at the end of your seat until the very end. I really did not expect the ending. It was a really good ending. So yeah, I will definitely give this book a 4.5 out of 5. I would not say it is a 5 out of 5, but if I'm just sad that I did not know from the start it was a thriller, because I think that would maybe made it a 5 out of 5. But because I had to make that mind change, but I think for some people out there that this book would definitely be a 5 out of 5. So recently I am reading a Stephen King book. It is called Billy Summers. Once again, I thought to myself, you know, Stephen King, this is going to be a horror, or I just thought I need to read something completely not me, basically. And once again, I did not read the summary. So I started reading this book and I thought, well, when is this going to get scary, you know? And then I realized, but this is basically a crime. It's a book about a crime. It's about a guy, he's called Billy Summers. And I don't want to give away any spoilers, but he's a sniper. He was in the army. I'm not sure the specific name. And then he killed someone for a reason. And then he decided, well, that is what he will be doing for the rest of his life. He will be killing bad people. They will hire him, but he must know that this person is really bad. So this book is about his last job. He is retiring. This will be the last murder of him. But to be honest, I was like 30% into this book and the murder happened, and I was like, I just clicked on that Kindle the whole time. I had to know if the police is going to find him or they're going to catch him, because they knew how he looked, and that was like so scary to me. And basically eventually the story went for a completely other direction. I'm basically, I think, 45% into the book. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this book. I will definitely give you an update when I'm finished. It is also quite a very long book. It is not what I was expecting. I would definitely do read a horror book, and obviously just do some investigation and just see if it is a horror book or what it is. I'm not completely sure. I thought I'm going to give you like my future reading list for the rest of the year, and as I went through it, I thought to myself, I'm not really sure if I want to read this books. But just to give you just an overview, I think I might be reading Mad Honey. This was interesting. I can't remember. I know it must be Melinda Gates. Oh my word. Okay, so Melinda Gates posted on LinkedIn, "You know a book is good when you can't stop thinking about it long after you finish it. That was my experience with Mad Honey by Jodie Picoult and Jennifer Boylan. A powerful story that spans identity, family, abuse, prejudice, love and tragedy. This book wasn't an easy read, but it was deeply compelling. It was a deeply compelling one. If you read Mad Honey, what do you think?" So, well, obviously this book has a gorgeous cover, which which always catches my eye. I think maybe Mad Honey. I know it's also a thick book, but because she also have posted about it, I just thought maybe, you know. Then I want to read The Outside of Stephen King. Don't quote me. I'm not sure if it is a horror book, but I'm going to double fact check it. But I think it is. So that is my horror book for the next 6 months. Then I want to read Daisy Jones and the Six. Also because there's a movie coming out, or the movie had come out. So I first want to read the book. And it is also the same writer as The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Then I want to read this old book. It is called The Five People You Meet in Heaven. This is, as far as I know, it is a psychology book. I think it is a story, but there is a lot of psychology behind it. I know my mom had the book like, I don't know, 15 years ago, and my mom is not really one for psychology. Actually, interesting enough, my dad had his psychology degree, so he was a registered psychologist for some time. He did go into business and unregistered himself, but he also, I think it's maybe a good book to read. And then The Women in the Window. So if you really would like to watch a great series, it was so nerve-wracking, is The Women in the Window Across the Street. That was like a bit of it was not really horror, but a very good thriller series. So that is basically the book behind the series, and as I understand, the book is give more facts and give a better overview of everything. So there's a lot of horror books that I do have. Well, there's two. So thriller, horror. I must be honest, I'm not always that excited to read something like that before I go to sleep. But anyhow, I think that is going to be quite some good books. I will definitely also update you if I do anything new. I first need to end this, to finish this book, Billy Summers by Stephen King. And so please have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.